Hi, I've made a new dashboard and I wanted to show you how to use it and where you can get it and etc. And so that's what this is. That's it. Okay, so here's one way I've used it. I actually made this for this particular table. So, and then I was like, well, we could, give it to other people. So he's got a map here, which you can click on and it takes you to the map. Here it is. So it takes you to the map. And then you have all of our stats. You've got like tokens for what we've encountered last. You've got this little section here, and I'm not going to click on it, but he has used this little section to swap to different images depending on where we are. And I typically update the last session stuff. And then you've got all of our little character tokens down here. You can double click and get to your character sheet, etc., etc. This is version 11 right now. And then I also have another one I set up specifically for version 12. So you can see you have a different use of it. I use the same map, but again, it just click and you can go to the map. You've got images down here, your player stats down here. So essentially you can use any of these assets to make it your own. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do it in version 12. This is not a recommendation to update to version 12 yet. And that could be a whole thing we can talk about in a different video. But I wanted to test it out since version 12 just recently released about a month ago. If you want to click between an image and to another scene, you are going to need Monk's active tile triggers because that feature is still not in version 12 or embedded into Foundry. They did add some other things, which I will have to figure out how to use in future dashboards, which I'm kind of excited about. Another feature you might want to consider as well is advanced drawing tools, or you might want to add additional types of text. The text you saw in the first one that I made for a friend, he has extra text modules on his Foundry, so he got some cool fonts. But what I'm going to show you is pretty much all built in except for that one module. Let's just get started and dive right in. So I'm just going to show you the basics. So first, you're going to want to create a new scene. So you're going to go over to the top right corner here, find your little scene tab, and then you're going to hit create new scene. I'm just going to call it landing page. And we're going to go to click on it, and a new box will come up that says configure your scene. You want it to show up for everybody, not just you. So that people can easily get to the dashboard if they would like to. For your background image, you want to make sure you've downloaded all the assets. I'll put a link down below. For all of these assets, use this one that's called Paper BK, background, or back paper. And we're going to go ahead and put that in as the background. So if you want to pick a color from the image that you've just uploaded, you're going to hit this eyedropper tool. And then you're going to click on, I'm going to find like a shade, maybe make it just a little bit darker. And then we're going to go ahead, and if you click off, it should change the color. I think that's a new feature for version 12. I think version 11, it didn't used to do that. You had to hit the update button or save button in order to do that. For now, you do want the grid, and I'll show you why in a minute. You can adjust how big you want it. I'm going to keep it as is because I'm kind of just throwing this all together for you. But if you ever need to adjust the grid, you're going to do that in the grid area here. And you would only need to do that if you want to scale things a certain way or need to adjust in smaller increments than what I'm about to show you. We're going to hit save. Next, we're going to go ahead and go to this tile controls section here. And before we get too far into this, you can hit this little button here and you can actually upload all your files at one time. It's kind of a bit tedious, but you can just click on one and then hit open, and then it'll upload it into here. Obviously that flag was already in here, but then you will have all your tiles in one place and you don't have to keep thinking about how big they need to be, especially the flags. So if you go and you hit new tile here and you click and drag, you can hit this button. That'll let you pick an image. But if you do it this way, and you hit create tile, sometimes it can make this like not the correct proportions as I drew it, so it'll make it distorted. However, if you do this and you drag and drop, it'll be the exact size designed for the paper. So I recommend just putting them in the tile browser, and then that way you can just drag and drop onto the map and it would be easier. So first you're gonna wanna put all of your flags on. Now for this, I'm gonna actually do it differently. I designed it for the flags to be at the bottom, but as you saw in the one I had, the flags on the left side. For this one, I'm gonna do flags on the top, because why not? I'm just showing off different ways of doing it. So I go ahead and drag all of these here, and then we're gonna go in here. So if you double click, you can pull up all of the information and scaling for your flags. So if you want to rotate it, you're gonna put that in degrees in this rotation box. So 180 will turn it upside down for us. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go to this top one to be able to select tiles. So we're gonna select all of them and we're just gonna move them up here. We do have it snapping. Since we have the grid on, it will kind of snap to the grid. So keep that in mind. If you don't want it to snap to the grid, you can right click up here, go to configure, and then turn the grid to gridless, and then you won't have that snapping. But because we have the grid on, it is snapping, and I kind of want it on for the moment. Next, we're gonna put the top paper on. So this is to add that layered effect. So we're gonna drag and drop the top paper right on here. Close this, and then we can move it around so that the flags are there, but we can also see the pages. We're gonna move this blue one just a little bit. So we've got our 4 flags up there. We've got our paper up top. What I like to do too is I like to right click. You'll get your little bars here around the box. On the top right side, you're gonna hit this locked state button. That'll mean it won't move. And I'm gonna actually do that for all of these as well. Say you put the top page on first and then realize, oh, you have one more flag, or you add a player in. So let's say we need, I don't know, another green flag. We've added a player. Go ahead and rotate it. If you need to make this slightly below, you would right click and you could use these arrow tools to push it into the back. Next, let's add some of the other things. So we will adjust this a little bit, but I'm just gonna drag and drop some of these here so we can play around with them and adjust accordingly. There you go. Okay, so for the map, you want this to be in the back. Bring this forward. That'll be the easiest way to do it. And then we will, because the map is not quite the right size for this, I'm just gonna kind of center it in here. If you don't want it to snap, so again, we'll go up here, configure, we will turn this to gridless, and that'll actually allow you to like really get particular with this. So we can really adjust this to fit exactly in if you want. But then I recommend turning the grid back on because it'll just be easier to arrange everything else on the page. For the map, we're going to double click it and we're gonna go over to triggers. Again, you need Monk's active tile triggers in order to get this little option here. You're gonna click on that and there's a few settings we'll go over. You can see I did this in a different dashboard video and that one might be a little clearer. So I'll put a link to that as well. But you want to allow all tokens to be able to do this. You could be controlled by anyone because again, this is for anyone. And instead of enter, you actually want it to be on click. And then you want to allow it when paused because sure, why not be able to access the menu on pause? And then this one here, you want to have a hover over pointer that'll just give a visual indication that they can click on something. So that should be it on this screen. Then you're going to go to actions. And this is what's going to happen when you click on this. So you're going to hit add. And instead of activate, deactivate, you're going to go to change scene. Next, you're going to click this little button here. I've already got the map uploaded as a scene, but if you don't have that, you might want to do that as well. So if you'll hit create scene, you can type map, create new scene, And then you can set the map image in here. Bam. So now I already have it in there. You'll have to go in and edit if you want a hex grid or etc. for your map. But you'll click on this little targeting thing, and then you'll click on the map that's in the scene listing. So we'll click on that, and it should populate with that scene name. And then you want to make sure that it will trigger for the triggering player, not for everyone, because if I click on the map, my friend shouldn't have to look at the map as well. So you're going to hit update tile, and then just to test it, so go back to token controls and click on it and see that it'll go to that landing page. Now back to the tile controls. So now we can move these around and get this all nice and pretty. Okay, there we go. So now we've got all our boxes kind of arranged here. You can really play around with the layout however you want. And now we're gonna add text. So this is just basic drawing tools. So we're gonna go ahead and add a title. One thing you can do, and I don't know if people are aware of this, is you can actually set your text to be a default way. So if you hit configure drawing here, you can actually set whether or not you have lines and text and whatever. I've just left it on default because this is what you will see when you get in here. But we'll say campaign name. And then these are just the default fonts. So we're just gonna click one of these, get rid of the line, update the drawing. You can always copy and paste something. So Control C, Control V to copy and paste. I'm gonna just change the text here and say summary. And then over here, we're gonna say stats. So sometimes this will happen where it won't update the text at all. I'm not sure why. I think this is just a bug with version 12. I found that if you like return to setup and come back, it'll either pop up. Yeah, so see, now it's popped up here. I'm not sure. I think that's just a bug, but just if your text isn't showing up, hop out and hop back in, and it should fix things for you. And then you can add all your other stuff. You can get as particular or as you want. You can use boxes on here to add some lines. There we go. So now we have a box. We can like block out sections. That's how I did things like this. So this is a whole box to kind of delineate where different things are. You can put your tokens on here, drag and drop them on the flags. I recommend turning the grid off when you're all done, so that they aren't stuck there, kind of askew. And you'll notice now too, like you need to change the lighting. So she has dark vision, so it's fine. But under lighting here, you don't want token vision and you don't want fog exploration because this is a dashboard. So now when you click on them, it won't do that. But you can place your tokens like right on the flags. You can make the flags bigger if you want. If you're worried about the people moving their tokens around the board, if you want, you can use walls to actually box them in so that they can't do that. So control continues. Holding control will let you place walls continuously, so you can just box them in here. So now they can't go anywhere if they use the arrow keys. So that's it. That's pretty much everything you really need to know to set up this dashboard. I'd love to see what you guys create, or like what your dashboard looks like, since it is kind of changeable. Again, you can get this on my website for a couple bucks. And I have another one that I'm working on. I'm working on a couple more little assets for it. If you are a member, you can use the members only monthly code to get this, as well as like maps and other miscellaneous things for free each month. So you don't have to pay the $2 every time you want an asset from my website. So consider that. Plus we do other things. Hopefully I have another one ready in the next couple of weeks for you guys to try out as well. I will see you in the next one.